In this video, we're gonna talk about automations done using Jira Minsk workflow extension, and to be precise, about copying values between fields in multiple Jira issues. So this is a use case that can be very helpful in many situations. We'll cover some of them later. But I want to show you the possibilities and how easy it is to set up. This video is part of our ongoing effort to provide the best possible training for Jira, Confluence, and whole Atlassian ecosystem. If you would like to support us, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave the comment if you have some questions or ideas about future video, and always remember that you can use our paid services like trainings, consultations, and even implementations. Okay, so imagine following situation. Your team is developing software and you are currently testing the software, right? So from time to time you find some bugs, you open them as issues in Jira, but when creating a bug you need to fill a lot of information about this issue that you encountered, right? So you will have multiple fields that when creating bug you will have to fill. Some of these fields you will have to fill manually, right? There is no way around that. You just will have to describe the bug, maybe environment, some other things. But there will be a lot of information that can be sourced from other issues, right? Usually bugs are connected to some stories or maybe requirements, depending on how your setup looks like. And a lot of information can be pulled from these issues. So the goal of what I'm showing now is to limit the amount of overhead you will have when creating that kind of issues. So in my case, I have one bug created, and things that are interesting to me are assignee, components, and also description. So basically these are the information that I have also in my story task. So you can see over here I have a story, someone is assigned to it, so this is probably the developer that did the work. I have field component, so the component of a software that is affected by the change. And also over here in the summary I see the general description, what was the goal of this task, right? So when I have a bug created, I could have basically fill everything manually. So component, because probably the same component will be affected by the bug as the story. Probably in my case the developer who developed the story will be looking at the bug, and also some short description. So I basically want to put at the start the summary of the story that this bug will be linked to, and I can expand on this by simply manually typing. So I could fill this manually, but there is a better way, faster and easier way to do that. So I will just link issue. So it has to be particular type of a link. In my case, causes BPS 10, I think it was, yeah. So I will create that kind of a link, and nothing happens for now, but you will see that in a moment I will refresh the screen and this information will be automatically filled. So this information will be automatically filled. So you can see that description appeared over here. I can still modify it and expand on it, and also assignee component were filled. So the fields and the amount of information that you will be copying in this case from the story will vary depending on environment and depending on what kind of information you store on your issues, what kind of things you want to have copied. But the general idea is to make opening new bugs as simple and as fast as possible, right? Because a lot of the cases where you won't have that kind of information and you want to have information about components, assignee, and so on put into the bug, person creating the bug will have to find the story over here and copy this information one by one, which is not very convenient. Okay, but for me, the issue was actually already created, or the bug was created. I had to create a link over here. We could have exactly the same, obviously, when just creating the bug. So I will create the bug. I won't fill description because this is something that initially will be filled by the link. And over here I have linked issues. I will use the same story. And when I create this one, it will also be filled. It may take a second or two. No, it was filled right away. So you can see that by creating simple link between two issues, we can pull a lot of information into ours. Of course, this is just one of many scenarios and use cases where copying information from issue to issue will be used. So very often we see that, for example, information from epic level to story level has to be copied because, for example, we are using a filter somewhere else in Jira that requires certain information in certain custom field to basically gives proper result. And we need to have it not only on epic level, but on all the tasks level. Sometimes it is required by other add-ons. As an example, multiple times we had situations where our customer had an issue hierarchy in their project created based on epic links, but also on standard links. So there was some issue type initiative that was linked with multiple epics. These epics had stories, and the stories were linked with some other lower level elements in this created hierarchy, right? Now, what customer wanted to do is when they set a certain specific custom field on initiative level, they wanted to propagate this on all the epics and all the lower level elements. In that case, it was project category, because later they used that in filtering, but there is really a lot of situations where this kind of functionality will be really helpful and will ease your burden when it comes to manually filling the data. Okay, but now I've shown you that it works. How it is done very briefly. So as I mentioned, I'm using Jira Minsk workflow extensions. What is great about this add-on is that basically everything we've seen up till now can be done with single configuration without any scripting. No knowledge of programming is required. So what I've done is I have over here set up event-based actions. So these are basically actions that happen when specific event is triggered in Jira. And I do have over here copy fields to bug. So if I added this, you will see that there is several things I can configure. What is the trigger? I have issue links added because this happens when we are adding link to the issue. But there is way more things that allows us to trigger the action. So I could create an action on issue created, right? On attachment created. So there is a variety of things that happen that can trigger the change. I can limit the functionality only to specific project or specific issue type, which is also really nice because you do not want to have it copied always everywhere very often, but you want to be very specific about what gets copied there. And I can select what kind of information is copied from where to where. So I can set what is the target issue, what is the source issue, and what kind of fields will be copied to what other. So you can see that in my case, this is not simple copy always one field to the same field in the other issue. Over here, I have copying summary to the description of the field. So we can also change where the information is stored between those issues. So as I mentioned, all that is really, really simple when it comes to configuring it. Just the basic knowledge of how Jira function is required, and we are able to cover a lot of different use cases that allow us just to save time and make work a bit more, bit easier and bit nicer. So I hope that this video shown you that you do not have to do everything manually. A lot of work can be automated. If you would like to have some support when it comes to creation of that kind of automations or discussing if something is possible, let us know, reach out to us. We will be happy to help. We have a lot of experience in that area. And except of that, yeah, I think that's it for this video. So thanks for today and hear you in the next one.